Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio.
This is Home Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And here we go with Home Show. Okay, here we go with Ask Tom Live. And I'm live. Okay, I didn't see that coming for some reason. I should have. Anyway, I answer questions every weekend on Home Show Radio. And you can visit HomeShowRadio.com and visit the website. You can listen to me on Sports Radio 610 in Houston on Saturdays from 9 to 12, Sundays 8 to 11. And of course, we're here on YouTube and Facebook every Thursday. When I say we, I have my compadre in arms there, Mr. Charlie Mosier. And so he is going to help facilitate this whole thing, better known as Ed McMahon. Okay, more about the radio. I'm on the radio. I talk. Somebody asks, what do you do for a living? I just talk. I don't know, answer questions. But as far as that goes, Saturday, 9 to 12, Sunday, 8 to 11. And of course, I guess next weekend, Danny's coming over, isn't he? And he's going to visit, or next Thursday, last weekend of the month. I don't know. I didn't even talk to you about it, Charlie. But anyway, if he's not, we'll still tell you about him because you can listen to him on Saturdays from 7 to 9. Yep. But we usually invite him along on, he's a busy guy. He's got trees to grow and top dressing to do and all that stuff. But he usually comes along on the last weekend of the month and answers your questions about gardening too. He's really good at it.
Yeah, Danny, of course, Danny pairs up with the Garden Pros every Saturday morning.
You bet.
From 7 to 9. We have a whole network of local garden experts who help you with your garden. And Danny's beyond with them. And he will be here he's here with the last Thursday of every month to help answer the gardening questions that accumulate around here and share some of his knowledge and things that'll help you. I wish he was here today, though, because of our topic we had in the news this week. That's right, around the world and up your block. It's home improvement news for you. And this week, Tom, we're going to talk about water worries.
Okay. This is all fresh for me, just so people know. I don't have any idea when this is coming.
That's right.
Yes. Today's
in the news topic was in a sealed mayonnaise jar in Funkin' Wagnall's back porch.
I remember those
yesterday.
days.
So Tom doesn't know, but anyway, the Western United States, unless you've been under a rock, you probably already know of the extraordinary drought that they're having out there. So far, it has lasted longer than the Dust Bowl. And if you want a graphic example of the water and how low it's gone, you just look at Hoover Dam. And that section inside behind the dam of that white rock is normally water. And it's 143 feet down. And the locals call it the bathtub ring. And they say that Lake Mead, which is the lake that Hoover Dam created behind it, is the largest reservoir, for one thing, in the United States. But if you look at it over time, you can see from 1985 how it has gone down. If you watch it, it was at its highest level in 2020, back in 2020, and since then it has come down that far, about 143 feet down, which is the height of the Statue of Liberty, which means that it's lost 5.5 trillion gallons since 2020. That's how far down it's come, and they're saying that whole parts of the lake have vanished, and so you wonder, well, what's that mean to us here in Texas? This is what Texas looks like on the drought map. Okay, and you think, okay, well, we're in pretty good shape, but it wasn't that long ago. If you go back to December 29th, this is what the Texas map looked like, and it can happen.
Yeah, we had a
quickly.
rough spot there. Yeah,
right. And I guess we were talking right before we came on the air, Tom, that I guess we have another dry spell coming.
That's what I heard actually today. We're going to have 2 highs over the Midwest, and it's going to just dry and heat up Texas big time. And not only Texas, you have New Mexico, the whole down in the south there through that area. So it's just kind of moving more inland. I know my son lives in California, and it's really dry out there right now. But it's funny you mentioned that dam, Charlie. I read an article the other day that it is obsolete now. The Hoover Dam is obsolete. And they're thinking of just dismantling the whole thing and letting it run its natural course again. And who knows what that would mean? I don't know.
I can't imagine. It was built to be there hundreds of years. So
I'm not saying it wouldn't be there
amazing.
hundreds of years,
been
but
there
it
since
has no purpose anymore.
Since 1930s. Well, actually,
It
that's
was
not
a
entirely
generator
true.
at one time.
Well, it was, but now Lake Mead is critical to water supplies in Arizona and California. And
Well,
New
that's
Mexico.
what the environmental. There's groups wanting to be dismantled.
Well, it would cut off the water supply to those places. I don't see that happening.
It would
I haven't
change the
read-
landscape big
Yeah.
time. Yes.
Well, and the whole reason Hoover Dam was built in the first place was the Colorado River was so uncontrolled, and it was put there to stop the flooding that would happen during the ups and downs of the Colorado River. So I think those environmentalists have an uphill climb to make that
I don't know,
happen.
and I don't even know. All I knew they said that generation power wise and everything, it's obsolete. It needs to be just not repaired but removed. Interesting how we change something and then maybe we change it back someday. I don't think it'll be in our lifetime, yours and I.
Well,
unless
if
you're
we
only
want-
8.
If we want to avoid this, avoid having
Yes.
problems when this happen, obviously, since the average home spends about $72.93 a month in water, that's based on a family of 4 using 100 gallons a day, right? So what's your water bill run?
I pay approximately $109 a month.
So if
Because that's with all the stuff tacked onto it.
Right. So if
So
you
it's
wanna save
expensive.
some-
It's as expensive as my electric bill. I can say that.
So let's talk about ways we can save on water then, okay? Number one thing you can do is when you run your dishwasher, the number one thing every source I looked at this week said was, number one, run your dishwasher full. It runs 6 gallons per cycle. And so that's every time you wash 1 or 2 dishes, using 6 gallons of water to wash that 1 or 2 dishes, and there's this crazy. If you think that's bad, your washing machine uses 40 gallons a cycle. So make sure you're using it efficiently. Make sure you're using a full load in there, and that'll save you from wasting water. Second thing you do is check for leaks. The EPA averages that the average home wastes about 10,000 of gallons of water a year. 10,000 gallons a year is how much the average home wastes. And one of the obvious places where leaks happen most often, believe it or not, is the toilet. And they recommend
Yeah,
what
true.
you do is you take a little food dye, put it in the tank. You know this one, Tom. You wait about 20 minutes and
Yes.
come back, and if there's dye in the bowl, you've got a leak in your toilet that's costing you money. Another place you can save money is to watch your watering. Now, Danny will talk about this next week, about how the tendency is when it gets hot, you want to water your lawn more, and that's actually bad for your lawn. That watering it daily is not necessary. Your lawn really only needs about an inch a week, even in the summertime in Texas. So if you think about how much water you're putting out there, it's a great place to save water where you're probably wasting it right now. And finally, their fourth tip, the obvious one, is update your appliances. That dishwasher can go from 6 gallons a load with an Energy Star unit down to 3.5 gallons. And if you get an Energy Star washing machine, your water usage can go from 40 gallons down to 13 gallons a load. Now, I'm a little skeptical of that, just like I left off. There was a fifth tip about buying low-flow shower heads, but Tom and I are
Well, that's about to
spiritually
happen whether you
opposed
like
to
it or
that.
not. Or you can do my grandmother's route. Don't flush number 1, only number 2.
And that's what's in the news this week.
It's true. She used to yell at me.
I was going to say, holy, well, never mind. Okay. If you've got a question and you'd like to get it on with me and Tom, Tom's here to answer your questions. You know, he's only been on the radio doing this for 34, 35
35
years.
October, we start 35. From what
And he
I can
wants-
tell.
Right, and he wants to help you, kids, boys and
Yes.
girls, wherever you are. If you own a house, Tom can help you. If you aspire to own a home, Tom can help you. So all you got to do is go ahead and put your questions in the comments section, and we'll help you out. But in the meantime, we've got these questions that came from our Home Show website using the Ask Tom tab at HomeShowRadio.com. Joel in the Museum District says, here in Houston, says, I have a stucco townhouse, 3-story, adjacent to others, and I had no leaks even during Harvey. But my roof is 21 years old, and it may be time to replace it. I have no idea what kind of shingle type, and I need a roofer recommendation. I know reviews on Yelp are not reliable, but Ideal Roofers, I think he means roofing, has some bad ones. Now, let's talk about the first half of the question, Tom, and then I'll talk about the second half of the question.
Okay,
Roofing,
I'll do that.
shingles,
But
and recommendations.
but when you say ideal roofing, as opposed, I mean, yeah, ideal roofs. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, well, they
the
call
name
them
wrong?
Ideal Roofer. Yeah.
Okay. I had someone come to me once and say, your company, Texan Floors, was really bad, and it's Texas Floors. So let's hope that they're not looking at the wrong roofer to begin with.
Right. Well, that's
But
true. That's
I'm
true.
going to
Let's
let
talk
you.
about-
I'm going to.
Let's start.
Yeah.
Let's start with his roof. Okay.
I'm going to.
Is there any kind of
21
recommendation?
years is not too old for a roof. It's probably fine. If it's not leaking, it's not leaking. You don't replace it if it's not broken. And you can have a roofing inspection done. I had one done a couple of years ago. They said I got a lot of life left. They did recaulking of the flashing, so you can have like a roof maintenance done on it. And I would say Ideal Roofing. I know them. They did mine, so I know them really well. And I'll let Charlie get into the. I never look at ratings, so I don't know about that. But as far as that goes, 21 years is not old for a roof. 30 years, then I would start to say, you know what? Start planning, start saving, have an inspection done, have several roofers come out. Be careful who you get, of course, and we'll go over that. But it's 21 years is not that old, and especially you're looking at 2000 or 1999, if I have my years right. That's not that old. Shingles back then were meant to last 30, 40 years. The shingle industry came a long way around between 1995 and the year 2000. The whole shingle industry changed from the old asphalt to the fiberglass mats. And when that changed, the whole industry changed, because now we're getting roofs that are 40 and 50, which you never had that before. Some of them were sold with 40-year warranties, but they were organic shingles and they only lasted 20 years. But the prorated warranty gave you about 10 bundles of shingles that you had to buy more to match for your new roof. So it was really just a way to keep you into the same product. But as far as it goes for the last 20 years, I think you got probably another decade. I wouldn't doubt it unless there's
30
some
years?
physical damage. Yes, easily. Physical damage such as a roof limb coming down through the shingles, a strong hailstorm, something that would be physically on there. People with golf shoes that like to play soccer, something on your roof that would destroy the shingle. But if it's not, I think you have another 10 years. I know I do. I put mine in 1997 and I have another decade left on mine.
That's interesting you say that.
Okay.
Because my buddy Jim Hardwick from Ideal Roofing was in my neighborhood the other day.
Yeah.
And he drove by. He called me up. He said, "Charlie, your roof started looking a little crispy up there." So yeah, and I was just sitting here doing the math while you're talking about that. My house was built in 1989. I'll bet you it's the original roof up there.
Oh, well then yes. There's a place where you could consider a little bank account to start saving for your new roof. Okay.
Bad news, you know. Yet, no, actually, it's a good thing. It's one more reason not to get the pool. So
That, I
all
don't know
right.
anything.
Sorry,
that's
Dad.
that's
Anyway, I know she's
inside
watching.
information.
She's on the list down here watching. So
Okay.
Anyway, but
I
let's
say
talk
that-
more about the real quick. I want to get back to that review.
Yeah,
part
go
of
back to
of his
the
question.
whatever you have. Yeah.
Yeah, his question, you know, at the end, just in case you forget, at the end of the question, he says, "I know reviews on Yelp are not reliable, but Ideal had some bad ones." And I'm here to tell you, I don't know who trusts Yelp reviews, because here's the problem with Yelp in particular. In order for your review to rank high, you have to be a regular Yelper. You have to be reviewing things all the time. If you're just a casual customer and say, "Hey, I had a great experience," and off it goes, your review is going to be down at the bottom. And because all of the people who review regularly rank higher with Yelp as far as their opinion matters more. Well, how many times you buying a roof? You know, and so it's like it doesn't work that way. Plus, I have a suspicion, in my opinion, I feel that Yelp is unfair with people who don't advertise versus people who do advertise with them. And so that's the worst place you can go for reviews, friends. I mean, the best place to find people you can trust is a nearby website, HomeShowRadio.com, where Tom's Home Show Pros are collected for you. But to give you an idea where Ideal in particular is concerned, the best picks rates them 4.7 out of 5. And that's based on 226 interviews they did with customers. So that's not just people going, you know, sitting there opining on the couch in their underwear about a business. Those are people they called up and said, "What was your experience?" And they got specific answers from them. So that's why.
Well, Charlie,
They're one of
Yeah,
our
go
Home
ahead.
Show pros, by the way. And I'm just going to tell you, if you want people you can trust, go over here to our website. Scroll down, and you'll find them all right there at the bottom of the page, ready to help you out. So that's where you go. Because we've done the footwork, and we know these are people you can trust.
It takes me back to a time before internet, and I'm an old guy. Consumer Reports. They used to come out with all these reports, and some people got really bad ones, some got good ones. And I, being in the business when it came to home improvements, some of the stuff they recommended, I knew personally was some of the worst stuff in the world for what they were saying, and you could read right through it. Now, my topic, of course, is construction and home improvement. I wouldn't be able to do that with other types of products. And I go to find out later that it had a lot to do with who was buying advertising and stuff too. So I don't think it's anything new. I think this is going on for a long time. It's just the internet makes it more accessible, or people, I think, maybe trust it too much. I think there should be a little more skeptical in a lot of things you can see on the internet, because especially young people, like when I talk to my children, my daughter especially, she's my youngest, and if it's on the internet, she believes it. And sometimes I say that's just not true, and you've got to keep an open mind. And if it's not on the internet, but it actually happens somewhere else, then they say it doesn't happen at all. So be careful. And got to go back before that to my grandmother. She said if it's on TV, it's got to be true. And that's back in the 60s and the 50s when I was just a little kid watching TV with her. So you got to be careful.
Well, using that logic, it's like in the old days, if it was in the National Enquirer, it had to be true.
I love that magazine. Yes, it was great.
Well, it did. They're gone now. It's largely gone now. And
I haven't looked at one in years, but I used to. It was one of my favorites.
They got in trouble for backing the wrong horse in the last election, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I love the stories about the half horse, half man thing. It was cool, man. I love that
classic.
magazine.
That was classic. Remember,
Yes.
remember that. I just say this about the National Enquirer. Matt Drudge broke Monica Lewinsky online, but the National Enquirer was the first print paper to carry the story.
I had no idea.
Just saying.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So Perry Liston is watching. He says, "Hey Tom,
Hello,
a couple
Perry.
months ago, I rang the show and talked about bad humidity. My problem is it was suspected. Fresh air fan was constantly on. It was stuck open. So now that that's repaired, I have humidity about 55%. Can you confirm that's pretty good? It was in the 80 to 90% range way back when.
Okay, 80 and 90, terrible, horrible. I mean, it's horrible even going outside when it's that high. But in the Houston area, and I'm going to assume you're somewhere in the Texas-Houston area, anywhere between 50 and 60 is perfect. 55, we'll put it right in the middle, is super perfect. And that's what your air conditioning system should be maintaining on very humid days. Now, if you go into other parts of the country, you can get down as low as 25%, and then it becomes even unhealthy for bodies, where people get nasal passages drying up, bloody noses, things like that, skin drying and cracking. So that 50 to 60%, that's a great place to be as far as the health of your body.
That's awesome. Well, by the way, we'll go back to his question one time for a moment here. I know where he was when he took this picture. I don't know if you can see because it's pretty tiny on your screen, Tom. But if you look at his little picture there, you see him standing next to
I see the picture. Yes.
Yeah, I believe that's
Is
over
that the Dutton
at,
House?
Plants. The plants.
They have 100 of those things.
I think so. Is that where it was? Perry's still there. Perry, where did you get that picture? Because he got the answer. He appreciated you helping him out with that. While we're at
thanks,
it, let
Perry.
me just a little roll call real quick here. Who's out there? Who's with us? Sandy's watching because
Hi, Sandy.
she's got nothing to do this afternoon. That trifecta
Our
just
pool is
finished our
looking great,
project.
Sandy. My Sandy's in the pool every day.
Elmer
getting that
said,
exercise.
oh, by the way, Perry says it was Plants for All Seasons where that picture was taken. I know my gnomes.
Okay.
Elmer is watching. Elmer Dutton.
Oh, well, that's where a lot of the gnomes live too. They have
Elmer
a lot.
Dutton
They
sounds?
did when I went to
Do they?
visit them once. They had them all
I
in there.
remember that. Yeah,
Mrs. Dutton had them all in the flower bed.
Yep. And then Anne Marie and Donald and Ken and Sue and Maurice is watching us. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, Sandy's put down the bonbons for a moment. Inside joke.
Uh-oh.
To type a question to you, she says, "Do you recommend a simple to dusting a wood floor or any kind of particular rub?" Isn't she pretty? That's my bride. Anyway, she wants to know what to do to take care of the floor. A brand new, let's say, hypothetically, you had a new wood floor.
Oh, is it a wood floor? I wasn't sure with the question. So it's a pre-finished wood floor,
Yes.
correct? Yeah, so there's
Oh, I'm
pre-finished.
finished with it. I'm finished with it. Yes.
Okay, it's a finished wood floor. Just use one of the products on the market. Don't use anything with water and alcohol, ammonia, and all that stuff. But you'll find stuff, and we use a schmop on ours, and it's just like a terry cloth thing. You just spritz it down and then hit it real quick, and it comes out real nice. But there's pre-finished floor maintenance cleaners for that. So don't overthink it too much, and don't start getting into oil soaps and things like that. Because it's pre-finished, it's really not a wood anymore. You're actually cleaning the finish. You're not cleaning the wood. The wood is all encased and protected.
All right. Remember, you got a question for Tom. You can put it in the bottom anytime you want, just like Sandy and Perry did, and we'll help you out the same way we did with
Charlie,
them.
that wood floor's in your bedroom now, right?
No, we put Berber in the bedroom.
Oh, that's right. You put carpet. Charlie just finished with Trifection with a remodel job that was 10 weeks before scheduled finishing. So they came out way ahead, and it took a while because of the freeze and everything and all the material stuff. But I hear it's fantastic, Sandy. So just think about, for now on, it's blue skies ahead with the remodel job. Just show it off and enjoy it. It always gets done.
Okay.
Okay.
It does. And actually, it's like what I say all the time about projects. Everybody always remembers the ending. You forget all the trouble. It's like if we remembered all the trouble of pregnancy is, the species would have died out years ago. Right.
And I never finished a house on time in my entire life, and they were all fantastic, and the people loved them after we finished.
Right. Abel writes to us. He says that when I flush the toilet, water pressure drops between the bathroom sink, and it didn't used to happen. Why would that be happening now, Tom?
Oh, I'm not sure what's going on. You can have a plumber come out and take a look. It might be you need a new flush valve a flush valve in the toilet. But I don't know why your pressure's dropping. It could be something even more so related from whoever's giving you water. I'm curious to know if this happened after the freeze. Do you have some debris or blockage somewhere? So you'll have to have somebody do some investigation. It's not one of those plumbing questions that has an easy answer. It could be a lot of different things as far as that goes. And it's probably some kind of blockage or maybe buildup of rust and stuff in galvanized pipes over time. And it's starting to lose its volume, because you have a volume and a pressure that goes together, and when pipes start to close up or you get a blockage somehow or some debris in there, you lose the volume, so the pressure drops because the volume and the pressure are related to one another. But it could be something difficult, it could be something simple, I don't know.
By the way, Sandy adds the Trifection rocks. So.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, save this tape. Give it to the Jeffs.
Yeah.
Or play it when you hear about Trifection.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do next week.
My Sandy would say the same thing. She did on a video for him.
I'll bring a picture, show you what they did, because it's pretty amazing what they did.
Yeah.
All right, Emily's just wrote to us here. She got one, just came into us. She says, what's the best way, let me get this up on the screen for you there. What's the best way to insulate the underside of a coastal bay house that's elevated? I was told closed cell foam insulation would make our subfloor rot.
I think any insulation you should stay away from. Unfortunately, when we're building new homes down there on the Gulf, a lot of the energy requirements, City of Galveston for that matter, they're going to require insulation packages. So what we use is unfaced fiberglass. Fiberglass, it breathes really well with no facing, and so lets the vapor transfer through. The insulation value of it is nothing because it's under a house and it's always cool under there. So you don't have a lot of heat gain. You have no heat gain and very little heat loss in the winter time underneath. It's always heat rises and wanting to leave up above you. So if you could get away with not insulating at all, I think that's the best way to go. If you have to, unfaced fiberglass, just put it up there and go ahead and close it up. But don't use any facing. Don't use anything thick. Don't try to get super R values. It means nothing to a house on the ocean. That's not where you build energy efficient homes by any means.
No.
It's a beach house. It's great.
Well, yeah, it's here today, gone tomorrow.
Maybe.
Yeah. You own something by the beach. You know that it's kind of like when I began
Life's a
scuba
beach.
diving, and right before I stepped into the water, the dive master said, "Remember, when you step off the boat, you step into the food chain."
Nice.
All right. Question comes to us from Farrellyn in Manville. She writes,
Okay.
we have been extremely unfortunate with rapid mold growth in our home due to high humidity. And Rick from Absolute Comfort is coming to make the needed repairs to our AC system. She says, my question is, once we get the AC running properly and the mold is remediated, should we get an air scrubber installed in our AC system to prevent future problems?
You know, if I remember correct, Rick was just at my house last week or so, and I think he was actually talking to me about this particular job. We were going over it, talking about the air scrubbers and all this stuff. Now, you can put an air scrubber in. I got no problem with that. It's there's a lot of different things on the market. This is one that actually does what it says. But will it prevent what you have now? According to what I remember and what most people have when they have a severe problem, your whole problem was the system and how it was set up and how things were being done. So if you put a system in, this is what I'm getting at. If you put a system in wrong, that eventually will start to grow mold. An air scrubber is not going to help you. If you put a system in really well and you want to put an air scrubber in on top of that, then it's okay, but it will not cure a problem of a bad system. And that's what I want to get real clear on. The answer to this question is go ahead and do it. It's fine. In fact, I think they're offering all kinds of great deals on the installation on one of their new systems. So talk to them about that. It's not going to hurt you. If anything, it could help you in some ways, but it's not going to solve a bad system. So I want everybody else listening to remember you have to start with a really good system first, and then those things will work, but they don't work on every system.
All right. David in Corpus Christi writes to us, Tommy says, I've been named the administrator of my deceased aunt's estate, which includes a home built back in the late 50s. The sewer drain pipes at that time were cast iron, and I'm told by a local realtor that mortgage companies are hesitant to loan money for such homes due to issues with cast iron drain pipes. So I saw your video on E-pipe epoxy for galvanized water supply pipes, and I wonder if the epoxy would be appropriate on the drain side.
This is a great question in many ways. One is just last Friday, I cleared the courts in Dallas. I am now the executor of the estate of my father, going through the same thing and having to fix his place up in Dallas and putting it on the market and selling it quickly, which I will be doing, and straightening out his estate so I can relate to what you've been handed and your challenges ahead of you. In this case, I would tell you sell as is to any buyer that wants it. Don't put a lot into it unless you're moving in and you want to live there. That would be a different story. But I've never heard the fact that a mortgage company is going to give you a hard time on the drain lines. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. But as far as the E-pipe, that does not fix drain lines. And usually I've never heard of any mortgage company, maybe she's working with a weird one or someone I'm not familiar with, that ever would bring something like that up. So I would double check that and not just listen to someone who's trying to get you to fix it, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And E-pipe, no, is not the answer to that at all.
Yeah, they're giving you a whole bunch of number two.
I think so. but I know what it's like to be held with an estate that you have to deal with. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Now, what TDT can do, I mean, and I'm sure most people who are working in that, because I know she's down in Corpus, I know they will go a distance. I'm not sure they go that far for this, but they could probably refer somebody if they don't, is they could do cure it in place if there are particular problems with it.
If there's a
down
problem
there, which is...
They could.
Right.
But before you do that, have someone come in and you pay a local plumber to run it. Someone honest. There's good people in Corpus. And have them run a camera down there, get a good view of what's going on, see if they find any real inherent problems. Of course, if you have a house that's got bad problems, you have to fix it, whether it's what kind of pipe it is. So no matter what kind of pipe it is. So I would go ahead and do that, but I would not be, I just can't imagine a mortgage company, if you have someone who comes in and saying, I'm buying a house as is, I'm going to fix it up. It's going to have to be someone that's got really bad credit and probably is a buyer you don't want. And today, I think you could sell that thing like that, because people are buying fixer-uppers and using them as rental units. There's so many companies out there right now. It is a market for you right now for doing this, just like it is for me. Sell it as is, just keep it clean and sell it.
If nothing else, they're buying it for the dirt.
Exactly. That's why I say don't put a penny in it. Just settle the estate and move on. Don't get greedy with something like that. You'll always lose.
Michael in Spring is worried about his attic. He says, my attic's hot, as most attics are. He says, I'm looking to add a radiant barrier and am considering the painted application. Do you recommend this? And does having a radiant barrier have any side effects, good or bad, such as the roof life or extending the life of the HVAC equipment because it's cooler in the attic?
No, none of the.
None of the above.
It doesn't affect anything from the heat buildup. There is none. It doesn't save your air conditioners. Don't anybody try to use that as a sale gimmick. It just lowers your cooling cost anywhere from 8 to 12%. Whatever your cooling cost could be. A cooling cost is a certain percentage of your entire energy bill. So don't get caught up in a bunch of fake numbers and advantages and disadvantages. The one thing that used to happen just quickly is when we use the old foil, or I shouldn't say old, it's still new when you buy it today. And we had the original cell phones, I guess they were analogs or whatever. It would really hurt a cell phone reception in a home for a while. So we used to put boosters out on the fascia board and put them throughout the house. They looked like little light fixtures that didn't light up on the ceiling. And that way you could get your signal out of the house without having to go through the aluminum foil. But that doesn't even matter anymore from what I can tell unless you got a really weird situation. Even the phones don't get affected. But that was the only thing that I would warn clients about. And they had no problem because I think it was Wilson Electronics made this little booster that was very inexpensive. And we gave it to the electrician and he would hook it up on the home if people felt they had a real problem with it.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, Tom, as people go to 5G, the 5G signal is actually weaker in how it goes out, and it has a harder time penetrating surfaces. And so that old problem of the old analog
maybe they'll get boosters back, huh?
Again. Maybe boost.
Okay.
Well, it's gonna be hard to boost 5G, but that's.
I have no idea, but
I don't want to get all geeky on you now, but that's the,
just stick your head out the window.
That's it. That's it. Let's go outside.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Maybe we should make using cell phones in front of other people like smoking. And we have an area outside away from the door where you can do it.
And it should be illegal to be on a phone doing things. It's not really a phone, but a computer, and walking in public. I think that's really dangerous because people keep running into me.
I think the Darwin effect kind of kicks in on that.
Nice. Okay.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up and land this airplane.
Let's wrap it up.
You got questions and you didn't get them in today. It doesn't mean we don't want them because we'd be happy to answer them. You know, we post a new video every day at HomeShowRadio.com, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. We do it by you clicking on that blue Ask Tom button right there. You click on that, it'll take you down to this page where you can fill out a form or send us a video. Either way, we're happy to get them. And you can send us a picture and all that, and we'll answer your questions. If you're looking for people you can trust in the greater Houston area, this is the place to go right here, HomeShowRadio.com, where you'll find all our Home Show pros down there at the bottom of our homepage. And if you're not sure who you need, but you know what you need, we have them sorted by category too, which will make your life a whole lot easier. And that is our... And that is everything we have except for, before we go, this just in from the What Could Go Wrong department. Now, Tom, I want you to take a really close look at that ladder.
I'm looking at it.
Do you see it? Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
What about
Yes.
it? You see the strapping?
I do. I think it's a gutsy call. I don't know what to tell you. It's not something I'd go up.
All right. Well, if you think that's a gutsy call, you're gonna love this one.
What you got? Yeah. Okay.
He's got it across the stairwell. He's standing on the stool.
I see exactly what he's doing. Yes.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong with that one, right?
Let me add a reality to this. What could go wrong? I have a friend that had a liver transplant. He almost died. And how did he get that liver? This is what happened. A police officer was the person that donated it. The police officer came home from work one day, take his uniform off, went outside, got on a ladder, was going to do a little home improvements. He fell off that ladder it was just a few feet off the ground and died. And so my friend ended up living 25 more years with that police officer's liver. But you never know. You think it's not going to be a problem. You think a simple fall won't hurt you. Be very careful out there. For those of you that don't do a lot, I'm in the business all the time. Guys get hurt. People get hurt so much and so severely over the smallest, dumbest things. And especially when you get home, you think you're invincible when you get home. You don't have to follow the rules. That's when you follow the rules the most. And I have had some of my own experiences, and I'm telling you right now, don't ever do stuff like that. It's funny to look at in a picture, but it's that serious where your family could lose you in a blink of an eye.
Or worse, they don't lose you. Because, as a matter of fact, I work with a group of chiropractors and physical therapists. And
Oh, gosh, yeah.
adults over 60, the number one cause of injury is falling.
Absolutely.
And you can be immobilized really quickly with that. So Tom's right. Be careful.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
a long
it's
way
fun
down.
to watch, but it's really dangerous.
It is
Even
dangerous, so
at
don't do that.
24 inches off the ground, you can break your hip, your knees, your ankles. You can shatter a leg, and you'll never be the same.
And on that happy note,
Yeah, really. Don't drive a car either. We won't go.
don't drive a car, don't use your cell phone, don't
Yes.
fall. But
Yeah.
don't miss
Well,
our
Judge
show.
Judy, a doctor told Judge Judy once. She said, "How do I get to be really old and spend all my money?" He said, "Don't fall." That was his answer to Judge Judy. I saw that on episode once, and I thought it was hilarious but true.
Don't fall and don't fail to miss us here again next Thursday
There you go.
at 4 o'clock.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show Radio. Home Show